Hi there guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. My name is Cadence and welcome along to my 2026 bullet journal setup. So as you can probably tell from the intro, I have got a brand new journal. This one is the Atelier Magic from Notebook Therapy. The gold foiling detail on the outside is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. And it has craft paper pages. How cool is that? I have never used a journal this colour before, so I am very excited. On a couple of occasions I have used blackout journals and I've really enjoyed the challenge of those. I think this one is going to be, midway between black and white because it's easier than a blackout journal because you can use more coloured pens in it, but it's probably not quite as easy as a white paper journal because said colours will not turn out the same. And also with that brown colour palette, you kind of probably have to be a bit more selective about the themes you choose as to whether everything will match or not. But I enjoy that kind of parameter sometimes. It makes you get a bit more creative to make things look good. So looking forward to using that one this year. The theme for my setup this year is focusing around moons and celestial things. If you've ever watched my channel before, you know that I love that kind of stuff. I was a little bit concerned about doing this theme because I felt like I'd done it very recently. Back in November, I had a very moon-based theme, but I felt like it's okay to repeat yourself. Obviously, it's my journal and it's what I feel like doing, so that's all good. But also, I'm using very different materials this time. I've got different washi tape, different stickers, and the brownness of the craft paper is just going to bring a whole different vibe to it, so it's all good. For the bulk of the decoration, I am using the Lunar Mystery washi tape set from Notebook Therapy. Last year for my setup, I used their Whimsical Botanics washi tape set, and I really enjoyed using it because it's a set, everything kind of matches really nicely, and I just had so much fun making collages with all those stickers and the washies, and it was just awesome. So I decided that I would treat myself to another set this year and do the same thing. I wanted to add a bit of something extra to the setup and not just have it as basically washi tape and stickers, so I started to doodle some flowers and leaves, which are my favorite things to do ever anyway, and they're just really quick and easy. Initially I was just going to leave them black and white, but then I kind of wondered what it would look like if I coloured them in, and obviously purple is quite a recurring theme in the set, so I decided to use one of my purple brush pens. It was kind of like a light pastel-y version, and also a green pen. I wasn't entirely sure how they would look on the brown paper, but I absolutely love how they turned out. The brown just kind of gives them a muted tone, so they're not too in your face, and they just go with the rest of the theme really well, and I love them. And yeah, I'm pleased with how the front cover turned out. The next spread is my future log. If you're new to bullet journaling, a future log is where you can map out the next 12 months, or well, however long you're doing your calendar for. Some people go do the school year, you might want to do the financial year, but obviously I'm just doing a normal calendar year. So I will go from January to December and I will mark out all those months so that I have all the dates right there in front of me, and anything that is coming up in the future across the year I can note down. So I've done mine this particular way for a few years now. I like to have a miniature calendar so that all the dates are there and I can see how they spread themselves out across the weeks and the whole month. And then underneath that, I will have sections to write certain things. So one of the things that's most important to me is to try and remember people's birthdays. So underneath the calendar, I will have a little section where I put everyone's birthday down, so that as soon as I create a new setup, so when I do January for instance, I will flick back to this page, look at everyone's birthday that appears in January, and then I can note that down in my calendar when I make my January spread. Then underneath the birthday section, I will have events, so that could be parties, weddings, holidays, that sort of stuff, anything that's coming up in the future that I need to note down. And then under that I have a little section for remember, and that can be anything really. Sometimes it might be just to note down, remember that a certain subscription renews at that point, so then I don't forget it if I want to cancel it, or sometimes it could be an anniversary of something that I want to make sure I don't forget. So I found this setup really helpful for me personally. When I was doing my miniature calendars, I always leave a space to the left to add in the week, so that I know what week number is as we go along. But I did it wrong as we were going, and I did not notice until I had finished in December. So what I had to do was just I cut a small bit of brown paper out of the back page, and then I trimmed it down and just stuck a bit over each one, and then put the correct numbers back in. It was slightly annoying, but it's fine. You can't really tell that there was a mistake. I managed to cover it all up okay. This is the smallest journal I've used in quite some time. Last year I used square journals, which was really fun challenge. I liked doing that. Previous to that, I pretty much only used B6 journals, which are quite large. This one is an A5, so I have used them before, but it's been quite some time, so going back to something this small is a bit challenging. And because it is smaller, I can only fit 4 months across a double page spread, which is fine. It just means that I need to use 3 spreads to get the whole year in, but it's no problem, it's all good. For the titles above each of the months, last year, as I mentioned, I used the Whimsical Botanics washi tape set, and it had a roll of PET stickers that were similar to this. They were little frames, but they were very much more see-through than this. And I did the same thing. I wrote the month and then I put the sticker over the top so that you could then see the letter straight through. And I kind of wanted to do the same thing again, so I just experimented in the back of the journal and I wrote something down and stuck that over the top and realised that it showed through quite well. So I just thought I would do the same thing, and I really like how it turned out. It's really cool. Oh, and I should say that the reason I kind of did it underneath rather than on top is because the washi tape is kind of shiny, so it's a bit difficult to write on top. I might have been able to do it with an acrylic paint pen, but then I would have had to wait for it to dry, and I'm not sure how well it would have worked out, and it would have taken a while to experiment with it, so I just decided to do it this way. My next page is my 2026 focus page. This is pretty similar to a goals page. I personally prefer to use the word focus and write down things that I can focus on that get me where I want to go or get me what I want, rather than writing the thing that I want, if you see what I mean. Often because the things that you want are not necessarily completely within your control. There's other aspects that contribute to it, like being in the right place at the right time, or I don't know, the right things slot into place. So I just tend to write down the areas that I'm focusing on that will get me to what I want. And that's not to say a goals page is bad or anything, it's just that I've personally found that reframing it to focus rather than goals is something that works better for me personally. So I have done my decoration and I've used a collage of stuff in opposite corners and left a nice decent space in the middle for me to write down all the areas that I want to focus on in 2026. On the adjacent page, I'm having a review area. Last year I did this as a quarterly review. This year I did not have the space for that, so I've made it a 6-month review and a 12-month review. I could have spilled over onto additional pages, but I kind of wanted to keep this all in one spread. So yeah, so the top bit is for 6-month review, and I will look at my areas of focus that I've written down and make comment on how I feel like it's been going over the last 6 months. And then the 12-month review is obviously at the end of the year, and it's just a time to reflect on how well I managed to focus on those things, whether I achieved anything that I wanted to, whether it was realistic, and then it would give me an indication of what I need to do for the next year. And because I wanted to leave plenty of space for writing on this page, I didn't do too much in the way of decoration. I just used some of the moons and a couple of the stickers, and then I added a few more doodles here and there along the edges, and yeah, left plenty of space for commentary. On to the next spread, and this is for my health trackers. I'm calling this my health trackers page because it's kind of putting two trackers that I was using separately last year and the year before. I'm putting them on the same page because they are both related to health. So the top one that I'm doing there is for my period. Along the top I will have all the dates of the month up to 31, and then down the left side I will have all of the months, and then I will just colour in along the graph when I have my period each month. Obviously not every month has 31 days, so the ones that don't I will probably just block out and colour in so that they don't interfere with the rest of the tracking. And this is just a really helpful one to have for a visual, because although I do tend to sort of note down in my journal the day that I start, it just gives an easier way to visualize the year and count how many days, and making sure you're on track or you're not too early, too late, etc. I've decided to change how I do my weight tracker this year. Last year my weight tracker did it on a weekly basis, but I think I was finding that the fluctuations between each week were so small that I'm not sure that there was really a lot of point in tracking it to that depth. So that's why I've gone to monthly instead of weekly. I've got a section for comments as well, just to say whether there's anything that might have affected it, like being very stressed or being on holiday or something like that that could have caused weight gain, or anything that could have caused loss, etc, etc. But yeah, it's still keeping track, but just not in as great a detail as I was last year, because I'm not sure there was really much point in it. And to the right of the page, under the period tracker, I've just left a space for any notes to do with health. If there's any issues or concerns or anything that I want to keep track of, make notes of, it's just a little space there to add that in should I need to. And I tried to make the page quite symmetrical, so the period tracker kind of goes across the middle with a gap either side for decoration, and then the two boxes at the bottom are both the same size and leave a little space in the middle for some floral doodles. And yeah, then there's plenty of space either side along by the title, just to add a nice collage of all those lovely washi tapes. My next spread is a new one for me, and I've decided to add in a cleaning rota. And the idea of this is just to help me try and be a bit more organised. So I've got 4 different boxes on the page, and it's just to try and help me break down the various cleaning chores that I will have around the house and decide how frequently to do those, so that then I can maybe make a note in my journal of when I'm actually going to do them and make sure they get done. So one box I've got is for daily cleaning, one is for weekly, one is for monthly, and one is for 6 monthly. I've made the daily one at the top smaller because I think there's just going to be fewer things that I need to do super frequently. Like, I'm not going to clean the whole bathroom every single day or anything like that. And this one is a plan rather than a tracker. So I will just note down the things that I decide need to be done on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And then hopefully that will just sort of help me stay on top of that. And then I've also added a 6 monthly one because there's things that I think you can forget about that you might want to do a lot less frequently but still need to be done, like washing your curtains or something. I'm not entirely sure what I will fill everything up with at the moment, so it's a bit of an experimental setup. But yeah, I just wanted to give it a try and see if it can help me organise that a bit better. The way I'm doing my headings for all my setups this year is using a Tombow fudenosuke brush pen, and then I'm using a white jelly roll pen just to do like a little highlight. So along every thicker downstroke of the hand lettering, I'm then adding like a drop shadow almost, but in white, so it's kind of more of a highlight. I think I decided to do that because I initially couldn't decide whether I wanted to use black pen or white pen. Having the craft paper gives you the option to do either, which is very cool. So yeah, I thought for this one I'll just amalgamate the two. I really love the moon phases washi tape. but I kind of wish that they were stickers rather than a strip of tape. I have not used them as a strip of tape at all. I've cut all of the moons out individually and stuck them around because I really like the elements, and I'm sure one day I will use them as they are intended and have the faces of the moon, but yeah, I really like cutting them out and using them individually. So after I had finished the cleaning page, I then moved on to the next spread. And this is another new one for me that I have just decided to experiment with. I'm doing a bit of a finance planner, I suppose. Not really a tracker as such, but it's to do with finances. So I've made the top little table into something for monthly bills. So I have one column that I have everything that I need to pay on a monthly basis, so things like mortgage repayment, electricity bill, etc. And then I will write down the date that it's due, just so that you can keep track of when that money is going to be going out of your account. And then also in that end column, I've got the amount there. I'm not sure how well this will work because it can fluctuate. Services can go up and down a bit, so I don't know, I'll see how it goes. Some things will stay exactly the same, but some things may be subject to change, so I'll just see how it goes. Then I've got a table underneath for annual bills, and it's exactly the same. The bill, the date that it's due, and then the amount that's paid. And then underneath that, I have left a small section for a savings tracker. I did one last year, but unfortunately I just didn't really use it. I think because I did manage to get my house last year, but I needed a lot of renovation work done on it, so I was not really saving anything. All of my money was going on paying for things that I needed to get the house up together. So I'm hoping that this year I will be able to save a bit more money. And yeah, I've just done a very simplified version of what I did last year, I think, really. So I've just done 12 boxes and then put the month in there, and then I'll just jot down if I've managed to save anything. I haven't put a savings goal down because I really don't know how much I'll be able to save this year. Renovations are ongoing, but they are hopefully coming to an end soon. So yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes. Now it is on to one of my favourite spreads, and it is the media tracker. I started doing this one back in 2024, and I've always drawn it as a little bookcase, and I'm not going to change it because I love it. It's so fun. So I've sketched out my little arched bookcase, and on each shelf I will do different media that I've consumed throughout the year. So the bottom shelf will be for the movies that I watch, the next shelf up will be for TV series, the next one up, books that I've read or audiobooks that I've listened to, and then the top one will be video games. And I've drawn it in a way that I know suits me because I don't actually consume that much media really. When I look at my one from last year, the most stuff was watching TV series, and I tend to have things like that on in the background while I do my bullet journals. I haven't seen that many movies this year, and I'm quite disappointed with myself that I did not read very many books at all. I did a lot better the year before because I found a series of audiobooks that I really liked, but this year, or 2025 rather, was super busy and I just haven't really found that much stuff. And again, video games, I haven't had that much time for video games, so I hardly played any full games in 2025. So this is kind of tailored to me, knowing what I'm like and knowing that I won't actually consume that much media, but you can make it bigger or smaller to suit you. You could go across 2 pages or even more and have like 1 page for each media or something like that. So yeah, it's all kind of down to how much you consume and what works for you. I'm a little bit annoyed at myself with this setup because I sketched out the shape of the shelf, but I didn't pre-mark out where I was going to put any of the book spines, and I just kind of made it up as I went along, and I'm slightly annoyed because they didn't turn out very neat. They were a little bit messy and I wasn't really thinking about it, so they're a bit higgledy-piggledy. It could have turned out neater, but it's okay. It's not awful or anything, but yeah, it could have been a bit neater. I also left little gaps along the shelf just to add decoration in, to make it kind of, I suppose, look more like a shelf with some objet d'art on it. One of the washi tapes has these cool little gold rimmed symbols on them, so I just cut those out and added them onto the shelf as if they are, I don't know, a picture frame or something, just to add a bit more visual interest. And then of course I added my title along the top and some floral elements around the edges. My next page I am calling 15 Things in 2026. And this was another one that I started doing in 2024, and I did that spread as 24 things in 2024. But I actually found that 24 was too many things, and I ended up not filling up all of the gaps that I left. So last year, or rather 2025, I changed that to 20 things. But I still found that that was a bit too much, and I was struggling to fill up the spaces. I didn't do too bad, but yeah, there were quite a few gaps left last year, unfortunately. So I have reduced it again, and it is now 15 things in 2026. And to stay with the theme, I've done a sort of astrological diagram. Obviously not our solar system, because there's a lot more planets in there. But I used my protractor to mark out some rings, and then lots of small circles sort of on those rings to represent the planets. And in every one of those circles I will jot one of my 15 things down. These are kind of like small experiences or smaller things that I want to do as kind of like a fun bucket list, I suppose, almost. But nothing too crazy, you know, not like climbing K2 or anything. Just things like learning a new recipe, or visiting a place that you've wanted to see for a while that you just haven't got around to, or something like that. And they're kind of lower pressure things, just fun bits and pieces that you want to try and get in throughout the year, but there's no major pressure to get them done. They're not like a goal or anything. So yeah, it's a fun setup that I've enjoyed doing the past couple of years, so just wanted to keep going with that one. Because there's not a lot of space for decoration on here, and until I write things in it, it kind of looks slightly odd, so I wanted to add a little bit more colour by putting some sort of planets and moons on the rings as well. So on the washi tape there were a few moons and a couple of planets that I could cut out and use, but they were quite small and I wasn't sure what else I could do. So I then came up with the idea of cutting circles out of some of the washi that I had. It's very difficult to do that neatly by hand, and because I'd used the protractor to draw kind of perfect circles, I felt like they would stand out as being very wobbly if I cut them out by hand. So I stuck a piece of washi down to just a scrap piece of acetate I had just hanging around from another project, but you could use food packaging, things like that. And then yeah, stuck the washi tape down on that and just used the protractor to cut out a circle, and it worked really well, so that's cool. And I just stuck a few of those around the page to add to the astrological vibe. My next spread is my highlights page, and this is another one I've done for the last 2 years and I've really enjoyed. So I am lucky enough to have a Polaroid printer, and what I like to do is pick a favourite photo from every month and then print that one out and stick it in my journal. And then you just end up with a cute little spread that just shows your favourite snippets of each month across the year. And it's nice because I take so many photos on my phone and everything, but then I rarely ever print them out, so it's really nice just to have a little snippet of things that you really enjoyed throughout the year. I can only fit 4 Polaroids per page, and once you fill up the page with Polaroids, it's there's pretty much no room for any decoration or title or anything. So I decided to do half the first page as the highlights, and then I've got space to put 2 underneath and then I can carry on across the next couple of spreads to fill them up. That will leave 2 extra spaces essentially, so when I get to the end of the year I might decide to put some additional decoration in, or it could be that I print a couple of extra photos. There were times last year when I thought, oh, there are a couple of things in a month that were really great and I would have liked to print out both of them, but I had to kind of choose. So having a bit of extra space might be no bad thing. Initially, I was going to add a bit more decoration to the pages and then stick the photos over the top, so overlap them over the washi and stuff. And I did start sticking some things down here and there, and I tested it out with spare Polaroids that I had, but it was just looking a bit odd. So I decided to just remove it, and I thought if I want any stickers as I'm putting the photos in as I go along, I'll do it that way instead. But I don't want to make the page too busy, because once you put the photos in, they do take up most of the space. So having lots of extra stickers and stuff probably will detract from that a bit, so it probably will be fine as it is. And then for my final spread, it's a super simple one. It's just a little space for some additional notes. I have found that over the years, I sometimes need somewhere to just jot some stuff down that doesn't really fit into any of the other spreads that I've got going. So it's just good to have a little space to jot things down that I need to remember. So I did do this page last year, and one of the things I put in it was a list of all of the things I needed to fix. So things like if a button fell off a coat, I had a couple of necklaces break, and it's the kind of thing that I can repair, but it just need to remind myself to do it. So I ended up making a list of all the things that I needed to fix that I hadn't been getting on with. So it's just things like that that I find this spread really useful for. And that is my 2026 setup all done. I am really pleased with how it turned out. I absolutely love the stickers. I love my little doodles. I think the colours on the brown craft paper, I love the vibe of it. I really like how it turned out, and I'm pleased that I went with this theme, and I am really excited to fill it out and start using my 2026 journal. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and it's given you a bit of inspiration. If you are new to bullet journaling and you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I will do my best to help you out. If you are creating your own journal at the moment, let me know what theme you went for, and if we have any of the same setups or any setups that you absolutely swear by but I haven't put in mine, I'd be really interested to know. And yeah, please feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more arts and crafts and bullet journals. Thanks so much again, bye!